moment of silence, please. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right. Alterations to the agenda. I'd like to propose we move 5A after 5B, so the Marvels would go first.
So moved.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, any abstentions? 5A moves to now 5B. Yeah, I guess we're going to renumber. Yeah, that's 8. Okay, good. Any other alterations to the agenda?
Yes, I'd like to move a new item to the agenda, and that'd be approval of 3 new courses at Montville High School. The first one would be a mid-level chemistry course. The second would be expressive portrait. And the third would be an ECE course, Music Theory 1 and 2. Under new business.
We have a motion, correct?
Yes.
We have a second? Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Hearing none. It will now be 7F under new business. Thank you. Any other alterations to the agenda? All right, hearing none. Citizens' comments regarding agenda items only. Any citizens' comments regarding agenda items only? Citizens' comments regarding agenda items only? Hearing none. Thank you. Letters and accommodations.
I don't have any.
I do have one thing to report. Mr. Stone, who is the athletic boosters treasurer, reached out to the Board of Ed and said they had made a $5,000 donation to the new scoreboard. So on behalf of the school board, I'd like to thank Mr. Stone and the athletic boosters for that donation. Anything else for letters of communication? Okay. Presentations. We will start with the Charles Murphy School, please.
It is my honor and privilege to bring up Emmy Pedroso, Nora Allard, and Haley Miller. Come on up, girls. You're going to stand right here, and I'm going to talk about you, okay? So these 3 young women are wearing T-shirts that say Love Pet, and that is because they not only founded and organized an organization to raise money and collect goods for pets in our town, but they did it in a really civic-minded way. They approached the PTO and got themselves put on the agenda and presented at a PTO meeting asking permission to go ahead and run a drive. They were given permission after a really excellent, well-presented presentation to the PTO and all the people that were there. And then they, at our winter bazaar, they advertised, they made posters, handmade posters. They collected over 120 items, as well as $145. They organized it all, brought it all to the Montville Animal Shelter, and did it relatively adult-free. And I was just so impressed by that, and I know that their teachers were also impressed, so it was a unanimous decision that we wanted to honor them as Montville Marvels. Mrs. Falk is on the Board of Ed and has a certificate. And I think you're going to continue to, right, run more in the community?
Yeah,
and-
there's gonna be with Rock and February that we're planning. Yeah, it's like the carriage and
All right, all right, so stay tuned. Great job, girls.
Colgan Elementary, please.
I'd like to welcome up Ray Nevitz. And we actually have a couple guest presenters tonight, and they are the individuals that nominated our two Montville Marks. So I'd like to welcome up Mr. Larson, Braden's teacher.
It's my pleasure to introduce you to my student, Braden Evans. Braden has been working very hard over his past 3 years at Mohegan. Now in 4th grade, Braden has shown great improvement both academically and behaviorally. He's worked closely with school psychologist Rachel Burke to establish self-monitoring strategies and methods to channel his emotions productively. Highly intelligent, Braden has made great strides in classroom learning, demonstrating his insights through both written work and classroom discussions. His peers appreciate his sense of humor and his ability to see everyone as a friend. In short, Braden has exemplified the qualities of a learner we celebrate here in Montville: perseverance, inclusiveness, and self-awareness. So congratulations, and keep up the good work.
Next, I'd like to welcome up Kayla Scavenge. And her nominee, one who nominated her, Logan Smith.
It is my pleasure to nominate Kayla for the Montville Marvel. She has been somebody that, since she has joined our school in 2021, has been an absolute integral part of our school. She works specifically with the 3rd and 5th grade special ed, and as a 5th grade teacher, her and I work together pretty frequently, so I've seen firsthand the great things that she's able to do. But not just with us, throughout our entire school. Kayla is the first person that'll come and help anybody, kid or staff member. She won't even ask about it. Her selflessness and care and positive attitude is just something that our school, family, and community could not do without. So I wanted to make sure that you understand that you are an extremely important part to our school. So thank you.
Colgan Elementary.
Unfortunately, both my marbles are sick. Some kind of bug has hit the whole school, but I did want to recognize them quickly, and I have their certificates, and we'll give them back to them when they return. I want to start with Jordan Duggan. She's a special ed teacher in our school, and she pretty quickly overnight became like one of the senior special ed teachers in our school because we had some turnover this year. And she quickly got team trained and took on mentors, mentees, like formally and informally. She was one of the go-to people in our building. And she's so appreciated. And she started the Sparkle Squad this year at Oakdale School. So she meets every month with a group of teachers, and they plan fun activities for the staff, spirit days for the staff. We have these fun spirit days that we don't tell the kids about, and then we try to see if the kids notice that we're dressing funny or drinking out of weird cups. And then she plans like outside events for the school and monthly luncheons. She's just been such a positive impact in our school, and we really appreciate her. Wish she could be here, but I sent her home because she was very sick today. And my other marvel was nominated by her teacher. Tara O'Reilly is a 2nd grade student, and her teacher said that she is kind, she has a thoughtful demeanor, she consistently demonstrates a willingness to assist her classmates. Even at her young age, she is always polite, respectful, and serves as a role model for her peers through her caring and empathetic nature.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, that concludes our presentations for Montville Marvels. I'd like to stay for the rest of our meeting. We're going to talk next about the track and field replacement. Otherwise, I'll give you a few seconds to make a decision.
Yeah, okay.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to introduce Mr. Andrew Dijak from Field Turf. He's going to be running through the scope of work on what's going on with the track and the field.
Thank you.
Dijak.
We're going to pull up a site plan, and then I'm going to walk through it. While that's getting pulled up, I just want to introduce myself. I'm Andrew Dijak. I'm the Vice President for the New England region for Field Turf. Also worked on this project is a gentleman by the name of Chris Hall. He's one of our design engineers. He has a professional engineer stamp in the state of Connecticut. He couldn't be here tonight, but he did the design work on this project and would also be doing the construction management as well. Just quickly, I know everybody's looking over there. Quickly, Field Turf, we're an international company. We've done projects locally at Waterford High School, East Lyme High School, Coast Guard in London, Griswold, Italy, also at the Division I level at UConn, at the professional level, at the New England Patriots, at the National Championship game, there's lots of United States Men's Center. So this is all we do. We do turf and we do track, and we hopefully transform athletic facilities. So I'm going to just dig into kind of what the project proposal is, and then if anybody wants to stop me in the middle, please let me know. I'd be happy to answer any questions kind of about anything. But the proposal is for the replacement of the synthetic turf and of the track, along with a couple other ancillary items. I'm going to walk through those. First, it includes this project, and the proposal price includes all design, any kind of engineered stamp, all the construction management, all the turnover documents and training associated with the field. The first part of the project is we would come in and we would take out the existing turf that's there currently. That turf would then be recycled at our plant that we have in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania. The sand and rubber gets separated and cleaned and then gets resold for other projects. And then the actual plastic carpet part gets turned into glorified flex decking, so plastic lumber. So everything that we touch gets 100% recycled. And we have a zero net carbon emissions on all of our replacement fields right now. And you can get a certified stamped recycling certificate as well. The next component that would happen would be the track removal. The track removal is a little bit different than the turf removal. The way we do that is we take machinery, kind of like you see on a highway, or a milling machine, and we would mill the top layer of the track, and then also about 1.5 inches of the actual asphalt below that. We would then come back in and we would surface with asphalt another 1.5 inches of that surface. We would then put in a base mat track system called the BSS 300 system. That's one of our higher end high school track systems. It is a coated system, which means that no water can get through it. And it also includes, because you have some unique colors, I think they're great colors, but unique colors in the orange, we put like a UV degradation kind of inhibitor on top of the track, so you wouldn't have any bleed over from the black over to the orange as well. The next phase of this project would be the site work underneath the track. And we have a couple things that we looked at upgrading. Right now there's what's called a grate drain that is on we call it the long sides of each of the turf facilities. At the time that the track and field was installed, that was kind of the way everybody did it. Currently, you don't need to have that grate in there. So what our proposal is for removing that grate and then also upgrading the what we call an anchor turf. It's concrete currently, and we would upgrade that to make sure that it fits to adaptable or to present day standards. and then we would have the water flowing onto the field for the drainage. The other thing is, we call it the D zones. You do have what's called the slot drain over here and over here. Those things would be existing maintained, but we would be taking off the track surface and then adding new track surface onto it. So it would be a very seamless look. The other thing that is proposed in this is ball safety netting, which would run along the edges right here and right here of each of the facilities. Those are sleeved and encased in concrete, and the netting goes up 20 feet. It's a safety feature that we do on most fields. It's because if there's track events running, or people walking, or if there's practice going on, that a track athlete won't get hit by one of the balls. So that's why that's there, and that's obviously included in our base bid proposal. A couple other items as well. Right now, you don't have electricity or any kind of way to plug into anything inside the track. So what the proposal is also for is running conduit and then placing that in areas along this west end of the field, multiple conduits, and then also 3 what we call comm boxes or electrical boxes to be placed on the west side of the field. And that's all inclusive of the base bid. 2 other things is, one, the reconstruction of this shot put area right here. The concrete will maintain, and we will recreate that. Also, there's a discus and hammer throw cage that will be replaced. The concrete will stay as it is, but the new cage will be replaced. And then also the creation of new javelin runway on the site. 2 other quick things. Actually, so after all that's done, then comes the fun part, the turf. So then the turf comes in, and the turf we're proposing is called our Vertex Prime 2.5-inch product, which is our highest level product that we have. It's 2.5 inches of fiber, and it has 9.2 pounds of infill per square foot. It's by far and away our safest and longest lasting system. It has close to 900,000 pounds of infill material, and all data that we've done research on for the last 20 years shows that the more infill that you have in your system, the longer it lasts and the less injuries that you have. The same amount of weight per square foot that's here is in our fields at UConn, and in our fields at Gillette Stadium, or our fields everywhere. That's the highest end product you can get. Lastly, around this field currently, there's a chain link fence for access and also for maintenance reasons, leaves, or bringing equipment on and off the field. We're also proposing to put in 3 gates, or slider gates, that we can integrate in the current infrastructure of the fencing system. There's also an adder to upgrade the fence, but either way, if that adder is taken or not, we can still integrate the sliding gates into that system. Double check to make sure I cover it. So that's a lot right there. Yeah, so that would be all of the proposals for everything that's in the base bid, and then we did some alternates as well, depending on budgets. One of them is to take all the mesh off the fencing, leave the poles existing where the poles are, paint the poles, and then add all new mesh, all the fencing all the way around the field. We also put an adder for bonds, if bonds are needed. We're vetted through the state of Connecticut. We're on their cooperative purchase program agreement. So some municipalities choose to do an adder for performance and payment bond, but there is a charge for that. It's about 1.5% of the total project cost. Not that I'm talking in or out of it, but it's we've never had anybody go against our bond. We've never had anybody file against our warranty. So it's there as like a protection, like a belts and suspenders approach. And then we had alternates for security fencing, expanding the track, going to a post-tension track, other things that were, I don't think, palatable with the budget, but we put them in there anyway. So that's the scope of kind of what we're talking about here. Does anybody have any questions? Yes?
Could you discuss the base of the track, of what, the better base that we're putting in versus the standard?
Yeah, so an entry-level track system for a high school level is what we call our BSS 100 system, and that's a system that that, not a majority, but maybe 30 or 40% of tracks, high school tracks have. The negative, the positive is it's a little bit less expensive. The negative aspect of that is that water can flow through it, so it's impervious. And in freestyle environments, when water goes through the track system, it'll sit there, there'll be expansion and contraction throughout the life of the system, and then the track system will have to be replaced a lot sooner. The other thing with this, we call it a base match system, or the upgraded system, the actual time where you have to replace that extends out quite a ways. So in about 7 or 8 years, you'll have to clean and restrike the track, but you will not have to resurface it for about 15 years. And when you resurface it, you don't have to pull any material out. You can just add material on top of that, almost like, it's not like this, but like if you were to add shingles to your roof, that sort of thing. You already have that existing infrastructure, and you're just adding it on top of it. So it saves a tremendous amount of money for the life cycle costs.
So you're saying the track should last 15 years?
The track will last at least 15 years. Okay.
So a couple questions. So when you mill the track surface, you're going to mill the vulcanized running surface in all together with the rest of it?
So the surface comes off first.
Okay, you'll actually remove that.
Correct, so then that's gone, and now you have an existing asphalt base, and then we take about half the width, or half the depth of it. It's usually about 1.5 to 2 inches. That comes off, and now you have a milled surface with 1.5 inches of asphalt underneath it. We add 1.5 inches of new asphalt on top of that, then the track system.
What are the chances you don't find a proper base? In other words, you don't have enough to mill?
Rare. Our engineer looked at it.
Okay.
We looked at the profile of it already. With what your track surface looks like now, we don't believe it's going to be an issue whatsoever. It's rare to find because there's two things that really denigrate all these sport surfaces. One of them is wear, which you have quite a lot of, and the other one's UV degradation. The thing about the UV is it won't hit 1.5 inches below the track surface. So it's very rare to find any bad subsurface. And when we do see that, we can see it up front. We see undulations into the track surface. We see areas of drainage that are problematic, and you don't see anything like that with your facility. We do, in Connecticut, we'll do about 20 jobs a year. You're happy to call any references, but we haven't had a change order that wasn't owner-driven in probably 5 years. So it's just not the type of business we're in.
The other thing is conduit, electrical conduit. It's going to sit flush? Is it going to be a waterproof box? Can you explain that to us?
Yeah, so the conduit is done 18 inches below grade, through from the press box all the way into the field. In the box, it's a communication or turf box. It's a stainless steel box with a cover on it that we put turf on so it's integrated into the field. That's encased in concrete and it's set below grade. And it's open graded in the bottom, so when it rains, the water goes right through the snow base, so it doesn't stay there.
What's the expected life of the turf field itself?
Yeah, based on what you've had before, I mean, I've been on that field a lot. My son played on that field quite a bit. Right. It's going to be about 15 to 20 years with the new system. Now, you've gotten a tremendous amount of wear out of it, but I would push back and argue a little bit that I think you went past your useful life. Oh, go ahead.
Along the lines, life expectancy is 10 to 15. Is that with regular maintenance work on the turf?
So yes. So we have, we provide multiple pieces of equipment for you to maintain your field, and then we also train you on how to do it. We do have a service that we provide as well, that we will come 1, 2, or 3 times a year. Now, there is an annual cost for that. Our recommendation is always for the facility staff to try to do it themselves, and then if the field's maintaining, we can inspect it, and we do all that stuff for free, inspect it, and see how things are going. And if the maintenance is going great. But if it's not, or say you're 5, 6, or 7, you start to see unusual wear in an area, we can come in and do professional maintenance services. And those range depending on how long you set a contract for. So if we come one time, it's like a set fee. If you sign a longer-term contract and pay annually, the per service visit drops precipitously, drops by like 50 or 75%.
Does the lack of maintenance impact the warranty?
It does not. So the warranty for this field is 10 years. And if, so, say for example, acts of God or nature don't count, right? So if somebody drives a car on there, that's not covered under warranty. But normal wear and tear, well, when we do a field like this, we feel like we're creating a partnership, or like, so we're always in constant contact with the owners. If there's an area where like, hey, there's a corner take area that looks like it's not doing well, we come in and train just to make sure you're having the right amount of infill, you're doing it correctly, that sort of thing. We don't have warranty claims that are because you didn't maintain it correctly. It just doesn't happen. And with a system like this, with the amount of infill that you have, you're going to be in really good shape for a long time.
A couple logistics, access, how would you access this project?
So,
Parking lot or access road, a tile, or where
we would do it through the parking lot. We would also stage in the parking lot area as well. So all of our infill material and all of our stuff would stage there, and then we would bring it out to the field. It depends on, from a logistics standpoint, we're going to make sure the project gets done in an adequate amount of time, but we may end up removing the field, then paving this area, and then because the pavement has to sit for about 28 to 32 days, while this is curing, then come back in, do the actual field proper, and then at the end, then surface the outside of the track.
The duration, how long from start to finish?
Yeah, it's about 2.5 months. And then from a construction management standpoint, so we have on-site construction managers that are both PEs and those that aren't. And I joke about this all the time. I feel like I do a job in London County all the time. I say, this is actually the closest one to my house. I live like 5.1 miles away in Salem. So I'll be here a fair amount as well.
What is your thought? Obviously rain, obviously, what is the thought? That's optimal time frame, right?
Yeah, I think we haven't set an actual start date yet. But
No, I'm just trying to think logistically, school year ending, football season, guys.
So we're definitely going to be done before football practice. There's no question about that. It just depends on when we can start. Because we've been working together so closely, we've already have you in our queue and already have you in our construction schedule. So there's no issue with the start timing, and we're going to be done well before practice starts. 2 years ago, we had a little bit of an issue with rain. It rained. You can only surface the track when it's 50 degrees and rising and dry. Well, the month of August, there were 23 rain days. So this won't even affect you now, but for the folks that didn't get their orders in until March or April, they weren't getting their track surfaces then until like October, November. So that would be the issue, and that's what we talked about before. But I don't foresee even that being an issue, because you're like in New England, you're like 7th in our whole queue for the whole thing. So.
It's important we get this right. Simply because we asked the town for this money. We asked the citizens of this community to give us this money for capital improvement.
We take that very seriously.
Yeah.
Very, very seriously. It's the only thing that we do, and I think if you wanted to take a drive and just take a couple of our local references like Griswold or the Coast Guard Academy in London or Killingly, and you could ask the folks there and just look at the end product. I'm not trying to be braggadocious, but I think you'll get a good feeling for how we work.
Well, Tim did his homework here.
Yeah.
He spoke to the references that he just spoke to and said it was a very seamless transition. It's great to work with this company. And I have been on the Griswold field. It is beautiful. This is like a nice opportunity for us to actually see the work that's been done in our community, or not in our community, but in a neighboring town. So, we are very optimistic about this project and this company.
So you're happy with Griswold, and it looks like Griswold.
Yes.
It's
Yeah.
beautiful.
And speaking with,
I've never seen Griswold. So
oh
it's-
yes, you're beautiful. And
Beautiful.
speaking with the AD at Griswold, nothing but great things to say about this company.
It was a very similar situation, so I'll just brag on Kathy. We're working together when we start working with folks like the previous year, we've done, same thing happened at Griswold. We started early, we were the first ones out of the gate, and then by August 1st, they had a completely brand new facility. And their track, compared to what your track was really in the same ballgame, and they had a grass field. And we still did it in about 3.5 months.
Now, will this track allow us to hold meets and stuff?
Absolutely. Yep.
Current.
Anybody have any other questions?
It's tough to follow those kids. I wish I would have went first.
Your fields look beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Well, are we allowed to ask questions on this? I don't know.
Since you're the track coach, I will allow that.
Yeah. Just confirm 6 lanes and 8 in the straightaway?
It's 6 lane, it's 8 in the straightaway, 6 around.
6 around, 8 in the straightaway, that's correct.
We had an alternate to go 8
Correct.
all the way, but it's just, with your current location, the cost outer was just like 300 something thousand.
No, I get it, yep.
It was too much.
I agree with everybody's assessment. The Griswold track is fabulous. I understand this is actually above that.
This is an upgrade above the Griswold
Correct.
track. They had the 100, which is the surface. I mean, they had a grass field. They had to put about $1.7 million just into the field. So they not that they sacrificed, but they just had to pick and choose what they were doing.
You said the life expectancy was 15 years?
Ish, yeah.
Is that depending on only playing football?
No.
Not so you could play, whatever other sports they play?
Great question. So you can play any sport. Usually there's potential of 5 on the field. It's football, boys lacrosse, girls lacrosse,
Right.
soccer, and field hockey.
Okay, so that doesn't change, is it?
Doesn't change anything, and actually the sport that kills the fields fastest is lacrosse. Football doesn't hurt them. When it's just a straight football field, a straight soccer field, the fields, like, they have no issues. The lacrosse creases, which are like right here and right here, they get hammered a lot with the goalie play.
It's the activity?
Yeah, and then usually that the boys and girls have different goalies, but they're close, so this one whole area gets hammered. But football, it just hasn't been an issue.
Okay.
Now, not that you're doing a baseball field, but baseball, that's where you have real issues with maintenance and things like that.
Do we still need a Zamboni is that something that we need?
It's a mini. It's not a Zamboni per se, but it's equipment that you do have to pull, and you do have to groom it. And then we also have a piece of equipment where it takes up all the debris and litter that's on the field, and then one that actually grooms it.
Thank you.
Yeah, but it's not like.
No, I know it's not like what you see on the
It's not.
ice.
Yeah, we have one. We do when we do it, when we would do the maintenance called the Redexum, but the machine probably costs $180,000. The piece of equipment we're giving you does the same thing. It just takes a lot longer to do, and they're not obviously a lot less expensive than that. But you still need to have the pull behind.
Thank you.
Yeah, no question.
You mentioned the javelin runway?
Yep.
What's that going to be made of?
That's going to be stone. That's going to be stone dust, and that will be done anywhere on the facility.
Okay, so it has not been defined where yet.
No, it's a new javelin runway.
Okay. Is stone dust on the new shot put landing area as well?
Yes, and
Okay.
but the concrete stays, and then there'll be a new timber edged throwing area with stone dust in the middle.
Perfect. What about the high jump, long jump areas?
Yeah, so that will all be redone. There'll be asphalt. It'll be milled asphalt and then surfaced as well. This is the high jump, long jump here. And then also there's 2 field goals that are there. Because we're not changing the grade of the field, we're going to leave those existing on the interior of the field.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks for your time.
So informative.
What's that?
It was very informative.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Everybody, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda, approval of the consent calendar.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, any abstentions? Hearing none, passes. Thank you. Budget report, Kathy, please.
The accountants are in the process of completing the excess costs and the educational financial statements that are due to the state by January 30th, 2025. Major adjustment for the excess cost was given to me today, which I'll put into the system, that increased transportation by $1,736, and then that one report will be complete. The tile roof project, the first progress payment for the tile roof project was submitted to the state and accepted. The final payment request will be submitted once the board formally accepts the project as complete. Normally there would be more, but because it took us a while to get into the system, we are only going to have 2 progress payments for it to be done. Well, one and then a final. The HVAC project update. Bid opening for the Oakdale School HVAC project took place on January 9th, 2025. Bids range from $3,986,000 to $5,212,000, exceeding the cost estimate of $2,958,239, which included both soft and construction costs used in the grant application. We are awaiting feedback from Al Jakunski regarding these discrepancies to determine if the project can proceed within the estimated budget. The bid opening for the Murphy School HVAC has been rescheduled to January 28, 25, I think, so that they can look at the scope of work to make sure that maybe this doesn't happen in future projects. Additionally, the state required survey for the HVAC project was completed prior to the opening with input from Al Jakunski. That was something the state put out just so that they could see where the HVAC grant was going and making sure that we'd be able to comply with the timeframes necessary to complete that grant. The high school track and football field replacement. The replacement of the high school track and field does not require a bid waiver, as the vendor is recognized under the correct cooperative program. Due to the timeline of the project and the vendor's prior work in Montville, it is recommended that the performance bond not be purchased. That would be an additional $28,490. The savings in funds would be retained as a contingency if necessary. The performance bond is just a surety by an insurance company or bank to guarantee the satisfactory completion of the project by the contractor. And this vendor has been vetted in Montville and in many projects. They did the tennis courts, they've done the work for the town, so they're a very reputable company, and the time frame of the project is short. Budget monitoring for the 24-25. The tuition accounts for outplaced students continue to reflect shortages, as do purchase services for magnet schools, nursing costs, and transportation. Legal fees and electrical costs are also projecting shortages. However, there are also surpluses in other accounts such as fuel oil that can help offset some of these deficits. We will continue to monitor, provide updates as trends evolve, and as we continue to do the 25-26 budget, we look at the historics and try to trend it out. I've also looked at the electrical vendor, Tradition Energy, that will help us do projections for the next year budget, which is how we set the electrical, but I think with the public benefit charge, it is going up higher than what we anticipated. Budget work for planning for the 25-26, we're working that budget is underway. We have reached out to the insurance carrier for the property liability and health insurance to estimate rate increases. Enrollments and staffings are being reviewed, and salary updates are being prepared based on the contracts or a 3% increase. At the board request, we reviewed coaching salaries for the current year. We have 2 ELA and 2 math coaches at the elementary levels, and a .4 math and a .4 reading coach at the middle school. The total cost of salaries for those positions in 24-25 is about $459,640. It's projected to go to 25-26 at $471,131 with the same people in there. Some of this cost is set by Title I grant. 3 of the staff members are paid at 65% out of Title I. The health insurance costs for these staff members are approximately $108,775 for the current year. We don't know what next year's will bring because we don't know what the rates are or whether or not they'll have change in.
108 on top of 459?
Yes.
So 459 plus 108?
I'm sorry, what?
Plus 108.
Right.
459 plus 108.
Right, for the insurances.
Okay, got it.
The board costs. Staffing increases in negotiation, 46,897 was for administrative contract for salaries and TSA increases. Obviously, some of that's offset by, we did copay changes and whatnot, but the teacher's contract for this year, it was a snapshot at negotiation, was 678,966, which was based on the 1% increase below max and a 2.5 increase at max during the last negotiation. These are going to change when we go through the budget because obviously staff has changed and they'll be changing in some of the number of people that we have in those positions. But that was a snapshot at negotiation, so that's what I used at this particular point because we haven't gotten that far into the budget. Any questions?
So 678 over 4 years.
No, that was this year's.
678
Yeah,
is
it's
this year
year's.
alone.
Mhm.
A fixed cost for this year alone.
Assuming a snapshot at the time of negotiation, that will change because I say some of those teachers retired.
Okay.
So they could be moving down instead of being at the max, so that's
Okay,
what it was.
I just want to be clear. So 678 and 46 is
About
what we're looking at for increased costs in our fixed income, in our fixed, correct?
If it was a snapshot.
That's not, I
Yeah,
got you there.
yeah.
Okay, so, all right, and
Yeah.
then,
And then the insurance on top of that, so this is just salaries only.
okay.
Yeah.
All right, thank you very much for that. Appreciate
Yep.
it.
So it's basically 720 plus insurance. Okay, so that's good to know. Performance bond, did we take a performance bond on the tennis courts?
We did. I got to say, in all the times I've been here, we've never once gone on a performance fund. So it doesn't seem, with a 3-month or 4-month project, it does not make sense to have it. Especially where we know that they have been vetted. They've done really good work at a lot of schools, and 28,490 that walk out for 3 months doesn't make sense.
I would agree with you, except only on the fact that we're taking the money from the town. Millions of dollars from the town to do this job.
I think with the time frame, it just doesn't make sense, Mills, because, I mean, to me, I would rather use that towards something. The project right now, we didn't do the fencing because we want to make sure there's contingency. I'd rather place that in a contingency and be able to utilize it later on. If it were over a couple of years, I might have a different approach, but because we have checked the references, they have not had any bad jobs that we've been able to check. It just doesn't make sense for that. I mean, they gave us a price of about $28,490 for that.
So what is the downside if we don't do this?
That they don't complete the work.
Yeah.
And then we have a problem. But I don't envision that happening. I really don't. But if you guys would feel more comfortable with that, then we certainly can do that. We have a price to that, and that would just reduce it.
I'm just thinking it, when you're talking millions of dollars.
Yep. We have 2.350 that was bonded for this project.
Right.
Currently, with the without the fence being done, this project is $2,183,385. So there is availability to do it. It's just a matter of whether or not it makes sense to do it. And if it were a longer period of time of a project.
I got that piece, yes.
And if
I
they
understand.
hadn't done the Coast Guard, the Griswold, and Waterford, and, you know, a multiple number of people, and we've also had them tennis courts, and we've had the town do their tennis courts, and they're the same company. So that's the only reason I recommend it, because they've done a lot of work for us.
I understand,
Yep.
I understand, I just want to make sure the board understands that it's a slight risk we take.
It's slight. It is a risk. I'm not saying it's not a risk.
No, I got it, okay.
When do you zero out these deficits?
When we get closer to the end of the year. I mean, we know we're probably going to have to hit the 2% account.
Yeah, because I, like, adding them up today, I was like, oh, we got some deficits, right?
Right.
So what do you say? Are we gonna, you're saying we're gonna need that money to balance our budget at the end of the year?
The 2% account.
We're gonna
more
be
than
tight.
likely. Mhm.
We're gonna be tight this year. We're not gonna have any money left over?
I don't think so.
Okay. Thank you.
Right.
So let's talk about the excess cost grant that the state gives us for special ed. There's a lot of discussion about that in the legislative session right now. Special ed has become the #1 business in the United States, as we all know, sadly at the expense of children and people that want to take advantage of a la carte services rendered. How do you feel about this? Do you feel comfortable about us? I mean, it's 4.5 times our tuition rate. We're on the hook for 4.5 times of our tuition rate. So at $20K, we're on the hook for up to $90,000.
Correct.
Right.
Well, you're correct, unless the state plays and then it's 1 times more.
Right. Do you feel comfortable? Do you hear anything, Kathy, at all about ECG?
I think that they have some big moves in the legislative right now as far as At one particular point, I think that school project funding came in and said that they were looking to say, okay, if a kid was in your district at the beginning of the school year, you've got that student forever, so you don't have those risk of people moving in and out of your district. Whether anything happens or not, I mean, they've talked about fully funding the ECS. Right now, we're at 60% through the first round. I mean, we certainly got more ECS money than what was budgeted for in the town, so there is some latitude of maybe if we have some, asking the town for some of their revenue back. But, I mean, I think that's more towards the end of the school year to find out how that all plays out. I think we projected at $700 and some odd thousand on ECS, and I think that the town budgeted $450 this year. They gave us money last year from last year, so I mean, that might be something that we take an approach on. But the kids are significantly costly, because it's not only the tuition, it's transportation, and all of these are very high cost transportation. So it does become difficult when you have those kids that move in that you hadn't planned for, because as you know, we take the approach that we only plan for in our budget the kids that are here. So if we get people who move in, that those are new kids to our budget, the only place that we go to is we hope somebody else moves out or somebody comes back into the district to offset those new costs that we didn't budget for. And that's what we have the 2% for, because we wanted to be able to, instead of putting potential placements in there, to be more accurate with our budget, but it does put us at risk of having shortages.
Oh, I definitely like our business model currently.
Only as long as you have a 2% though.
Correct. I was just about to say that, as long as we have the 2%. I'm just very concerned about special education.
And there are some
This is a very hot topic across the country right now.
Mm-hmm.
And municipalities are struggling to make this work.
Right, and there are some districts, and I've said this before, that he said the ECS grant does not go to the town for revenue, it goes to the board as a special revenue fund, and those kids only factor in the amount that they would be required to pay. But we've never done it that way, so it would be a change of policy.
Right.
So sometimes I like that, because that makes your budget less risky, because you don't budget the 100% of the cost, you only budget a certain percent. And that percent can go down based on the number of applications they get, because they have a certain amount of funding that they have, and then depending on the number of kids that they get on their first round determines the percentage that they're going to fund to the districts. So it does become a risk.
Thank you, well said.
I have one more question. You said that maybe one or two of the coaches gets paid with some of its Title I.
Title I.
If hypothetically.
Title I goes away?
Yeah.
That all comes over to the budget.
Okay. If what happened, hypothetically, if those people did not exist, these coaches did not exist, hypothetically, that Title I grant would go to something else?
Mm-hmm.
So it would be used for something else?
Well, yeah, it could be used for, paraprofessionals, which it has been used for a number of years back.
Okay, so right now we've decided we're going to use it for coaches.
What?
Because coaches exist.
And I think that was the intent of the grant for performance of reading.
Yeah.
So that was one of the ways that they utilized that grant, Title I grant.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Any other questions for Kathy? Thank you. Okay, new business. We're going to talk about the budget. Discussion of the 2025 budget, 25-26 budget. Superintendent?
Yes, we added this to the agenda to answer some questions, and I don't know if they were just answered or if you have further questions regarding this.
I don't have any questions, but I happened to look on about 4 or 5 towns, and they're all discussing it now, and I thought, why aren't we? So I just wanted to stick it on there, just to start discussing it. I think it's going to be, every year you say it's going to be a tough year. It's going to be a tough year. When you talk to the assessor, our grant list is pretty stable. Doesn't look like any new revenue. So everything we ask for will be part of a mill rate increase. And that bothers me. And I think the town has been very generous to us. We've had a lot of bonding projects given to us. I'm not saying I'm looking for a zero, but I'm looking to really be wise and smart this time around. That's why I asked for a couple numbers. We need to understand what things cost, and we just can't, this is hard to read for me, but we need to figure out, okay, this costs this, we need to wrap our minds around costs, what it costs. We bring in people, we bring in programs, and it costs us money. I am concerned this year, and I just thought we should just start discussing it.
I think we're a little bit later than some other districts in presenting our budget. We usually do it in February. We usually use the goals of what the board has established, small class sizes for elementary. So when we build that first budget, we're building for those initiatives that the board has already approved. That's the first blush of the budget as far as that goes, is that, the small classes at the elementary, when we budget, we do that. That's a conversation later on, once you say, okay, well, I can't, I don't feel comfortable putting this forth to the town, where do you want to move? We use recommendations for, I can tell you property liability accounts telling me that there's a 9% right now conservative estimate for an increase. Now, whether or not that actually pans out, I'm using 9% because that's what my vendor told me to use. And hopefully as we get further into the budget season, after we present, we may make those adjustments as we've made in the past, where we cut those to an actual number once they've met with vendors, because they really haven't even met the vendors. He's just going based on market and using a 9% factor. We have a meeting with the health insurance brokers probably at the end of January with the town to come up with some ideas of what they consider to be the percent. The unfortunate thing is last year, I think we had the reduction in the magnet school tuitions that helped offset some of the increases. This year we don't have the reduction, so it's a level. Makes it more difficult because we don't have any big reductions to be able to take because we don't have any initiatives. And if we have the HVAC, we're talking about build up in electrical, build up of other accounts that we don't have control over. So, but those are things that the board has already invested in and put that forth. So I think the first round of the budget will be, okay, what is that number, so we can see what that is, and then you have the discussion on that.
Can I ask a few questions about preschool? From what I know very little about it, but I do know they go Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and they have Wednesdays not, right? And we have one class, right? At Oakdale. One?
No.
How many classes do we have?
We have.
How many preschools?
Six.
You have
We have
six
three
preschool.
teachers that teach an AM and a PM, so 6 classes.
Okay, AM and PM. So how many kids come in on AM?
Oh, we have class sizes that start at around 10.
So 10 in the morning and 10 at night.
Yeah, but they rise as the year goes.
So 20 a day.
30
teachers, about
53
66.
sections, so 30 in the morning, about 60, I would say, but that, as kids turn 3, they qualify for special ed services, so we add throughout the year.
Okay, so 30 in the morning, 30 at night. 3 teachers. These 60 kids, right? Okay. So, I don't like that they close on Wednesday. I'm just telling you my own personal feeling on it. I'd like to see it go 5 days. I don't know how we're going to make it work. I don't know if it's possible for this year's budget, but I don't particularly care for them closing. I looked into this. Other schools do not do that. They get subs, or I understand that the preschool teachers have to go out and do PPTs, I get that. But there are ways to cover that day, or maybe the few hours in the day that that teacher has to leave. I'd like to see us go to that. Would it be possible to have all AM, like one class, say at Oakdale, and one at Mohegan? So no AM, PM, just all day, all day.
I mean, you'd have huge class size. You need more teachers. These aren't just, we take all the preschool students for the entire district. It's 50-50 special needs and peers, and there are significant needs in these classes.
Right, my daughter, preschool teacher in Waterford, and she has same students, but they work 5 days a week. We discussed it. She said she'd love to have that day off, but she doesn't.
There's also, how come if you have a late delay, there's no afternoon? That was decided a few years ago based on transportation needs and discussions with the superintendent and the transportation.
So I'm
surprised that the union hasn't said anything about this because they're,
So
because high school
wait,
teachers
help me
don't.
understand, what did you just say? Help me understand what you just
So if there's a delay, they
Yeah.
cancel afternoon preschool.
So the kids in the afternoon don't get to go, but the AM kids get to go?
No.
Nobody goes.
Oh, nobody goes?
This is
No, if there's-
relatively new. If there's a delay, there's no preschool that day.
So 2-hour delay, no preschool?
Correct.
Who made that decision? Who, like, does the board, did that just come through the school?
To be
or-
well.
Just curious.
I don't
Former
know.
superintendent did that decision.
Oh, the former superintendent?
With the transportation director, it was a transportation issue.
It was surprising, Kathy and I were both like, oh, so I don't remember when that was made. I feel like I certainly during my tenure here, that was not always the case. I believe it was a busing, if I had to guess, a busing issue. Because when there's a delay, remember, they're on separate busing and we have a bus garage. And so I think it was that, that process. But we've already kind of discussed that we want to look into that.
Okay. I'd like to make this better.
Yeah.
And I don't know how we can make it better as a board, but I'd like to make it better for the parents in this town. The 5 days a week, I think they deserve. I don't like that day off. I just think myself as a parent, it would be very tough for me when I worked. That would be very tough. I don't know what it's going to take for money, but maybe we can start thinking out of the box on how we can make it better.
I think where we spend so much money for special ed is, half of the class is special ed. And adding one more day isn't going to cost anything. Maybe just buses. Busing, but not for
Just
teachers.
the busing is just used for the special ed children, though. It's not used for the other
I
half.
believe it is just the.
It's just for the special ed children.
It's only for special ed students, right?
So there's no reason why we couldn't do 5 days a week. We could do it, right?
Well, you do have to think outside of the box. Their day is, it's not just PPTs, they're doing evaluations all day. There are times of the year where all the teachers are out straight all year long. I mean, and I have a speech pathologist that has to go to all these meetings, so it's something to talk about, but it will. Wednesday is when we do all of our preschool evals and PPTs, and it's a busy day.
So
That
it's-
is taking all those teachers out of, if we have a school day on Wednesday for those kids, it's just that's taking those teachers out of the classroom.
But could we put somebody in there to cover for that?
That'd be great. I don't have any stuff as it is.
All right, well,
Yeah.
maybe we could
That's-
figure
I
it
would
out.
like that.
Explore it more.
Maybe we could explore it.
Absolutely. The teachers would be for that, but, I mean, there's just a lot of things to talk about. They've always been for 5 days, but we just never made it work.
So maybe this would be a good admin assignment from the board to investigate
Yep, we can do that.
and then present to us a 5-day plan. Would that be okay?
Yeah, it'd be great. I mean, just, yeah. I think we
No,
should.
I mean, let them talk
Oh,
amongst
yeah,
themselves
yeah,
and
yeah.
figure out the logistics. Is that reasonable, Superintendent?
Sure, yeah, we'll look into it. It's just so everybody understands, because they've even talked about going full day, which would be great as well, except again, that would definitely be a high cost because we would need more teachers. And they use that Wednesday to do the evals, and I think maybe we could get creative and come up with something. It may have a minimal cost because of the probably guaranteed Wednesday
I
sub.
think it'd be worth it.
But yeah.
So
we
the
will
perception
definitely-
that they have that Wednesday off is incorrect.
Well, they're not off by any means, but.
They're just doing something else.
They're, right, they're in meetings with parents and doing, the students.
There's just no kids there.
Students,
that
right.
day. Right, but they are definitely engaged in.
So I
I
think,
think
the-
preschool's in the board.
yeah, so I think the board needs to know in that piece you present to us is how are other districts doing it without taking a day for PPT?
Yep, understood.
Okay.
We could call Waterford.
Yeah,
No, we could. They do it very successfully.
all right. Any other budget items we'd like to discuss briefly? Okay. Thank you, Lisa. Thank you, Kathy. Good discussion. Very good discussion. I am a preschool fan myself. I think most of us are. All right, new business. Consideration and action to appoint member or members to the negotiating committee for general teamsters, chauffeurs, warehousemen, and helpers of America, local number 493. Superintendent. Superintendent?
Yes, so that's our custodial contract. Typically, we meet during the day, and we have had 2 board members join us in the past. So if I have 2 people interested, I will then reach out and try and set up some meetings to begin this process. 1 or 2.
When do you expect to start the meetings?
I think within, about another month, we would begin.
It's daytime, correct?
It is during the day.
During the day.
I mean, we could be flexible, but typically.
Yep. Would you like to do it, Erica?
I'm going to be out of the country for 2 months, so
Okay.
I won't be here. Otherwise, I would very much.
It's usually a very quick negotiation. There's usually not a whole lot on the table with the custodians.
Reach out to the superintendent if you're interested.
Okay.
Thank you.
Fine.
All right. Is that it for that?
That's it.
Okay, thank you. Discussion on capital plan.
Coming right up. So Kathy's just going to share a draft summary as we still have work to do updating costs with some of the information.
Excuse me.
I think first of all, I just want to thank Lily and Nick Savoy who gave the information to do this, and Teresa is still working on her portion as far as the buses. So some of this was carried over from the prior year, and they're actually analyzing the bus needs, but I haven't gotten new updated information. So this is just general and just making sure that you guys understand the needs and seeing if there's things that you want to see on here that we haven't put on there. So we really have the buses. On the top is what we have done previously that the town has financed either through a lease capital initiative. So we don't consider that as far as an updated cost for the current year. So here we have the buses, the big buses that they're looking at, and the vans. And again, I have Teresa looking at the actual inventory of the vehicles to see if that still needs to be as much this year as it was last year, but we didn't get everything that we asked for last year, so I'm not quite sure on the van here.
You just got a van, right?
Yeah, we did. We got a big van.
Is that a handicap van?
It was a bigger van, I think, for...
Yeah, it's a bigger van.
Mhm.
So I assume that has handicap access?
I don't think that's a wheelchair. I think we had a wheelchair van and a big bus last year, so I had to come back and do that.
Okay.
So we have the Palmer roof. This has been something that I think the town has talked about, maybe trying another bonding issue on that, but the Palmer roof is on here. Again, we used last year's numbers on some of this, so we'll have to just verify the numbers are good before we kind of.
Partial roof replacement, correct?
I'm sorry, what?
That's just partial roof replacement. Because a few years ago, we did like the gymnasium.
Right, the gym is not in there, it's just the main building on that one, and that's subject to school reimbursement, so that's the net school reimbursement. This is the underground tanks. Again, I think that since we had put this together, I have reached out to the state, and I believe that this would qualify for school construction grant, so I have not put anything in here because I haven't gotten a firm number from them as far as whether or not it would be. But if it is a priority, like the roofs, you can ask for that as it's funded, and we would be able to get state reimbursement for that. And that is required, that has to be updated next year.
So the workaround for that is to use Public Works Field Farm.
We've talked about that in the
Right.
past, and the problem is the cost of having the vehicles go with the fuel and the cost of labor and whatnot is pretty costly.
Really? Just to drive down Gay Hill?
And get in line with when they have.
Or get fuel for the school back in the barns.
Yeah, well, that's what I've been told. I mean, it is, that's what I've been told.
Okay, we could use it not to go in violation with the
right,
state. I
right,
think that's
right.
what I'm looking
Oh,
at.
right,
We don't want to violate,
Right, well, we would, right.
we could work it out
Right,
with Public Works.
right.
Okay.
And we've done that temporarily in the past. We
Yeah.
have done it
Okay.
temporarily in the past. And they have a good situation where they give keys out.
That's a good idea if we can get a grant for that.
Yeah, she told me she thought it would be subject to school reimbursement, but she had to just verify.
He doesn't have a grant.
No, I asked them first, yeah. And I tried economic development, but I haven't gotten anything back from them either. The wireless, at the high school, we did tile last year. Murphy stairs that we talked about, and yeah, that's something that's moved up in a priority. Well, if you have anything to add, feel free. The firewall for
Can
storage.
we go back to the stairs?
Yep.
That's got to be complete replacement for that kind of money, right?
Yes.
Yes.
It's,
Complete.
it's the stairs and also part of the
Landing.
sidewalk right up to the drive.
How about the piece from the stairs to the doors? Is that replaced also?
No, it's just the stairs down.
50 grand?
It's 88.
Thank you.
It adds up.
Yeah.
And the firewall for the storage at Murphy. The bus garage we left, it was originally the site study to see whether or not we wanted to continue in that building or if we needed to update or renovate it or whatever we needed to do. But since then, I'm sure that everybody's aware that they have a electrical mandate may go away, but at this particular point that the buses have to have clean energy by 2030, I believe it is. And so that would require some modification to the actual site to be able to do that, whether it be propane or whether it be electrical or whatnot. But that's something that we will have to look at some particular point and make some decisions as to what we want to do. The baseball field at the high school, again, the generators that we've had on for a number of years. The high school, what Willie's done, has put a lot of carpeting on here. This is just the one that we had on here for the library, but we've had carpeting throughout the whole school as well. You're aware as a child, where everything becomes dated, we're trying to come up with a plan that we can start replacing quicker than having to do a whole building or whatnot, so that they don't look worn. But now they're all exceeding their life expectancy, so that you do have a lot of carpeting or floor replacement here. So we have the roofs that we all talked about that will need to be replaced, have not changed any of that. Willie has indicated that he needs a new truck for his department. This would be one with a salt and sander. It's replacing a 2005 vehicle. Again, that could be something that, this is pretty expensive. But that's something just to consider and see what you guys thought. The high school gym, the basketball backstops need to be replaced. They exceeded the life expectancies. This is just two of them. It does not do the sides because those do not move as much as the two ones in the gym, so those are on here.
I don't really know what we're talking about when you say that.
The basketball, I think they have
I
basketball.
don't know what backstops means.
Oh, the basketball.
Backboard.
The backboard.
Basketball.
Basketball. Oh.
Backboard, sorry, backboard.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. They need to be replaced?
Yeah, they're exceed the life expectancy. I think they're, according to Willie, said that they were actually
They're
bending a
really
little
close.
bit.
They're really close to like the original of the building, and what's happening is that during our inspections, they're noticing the wear and tear on the piping that actually moves the court up and down. So they're just putting that on our radar. I'm letting you guys know that this is something that we will need to update.
Is this a safety issue?
No, it's not a safety issue.
Okay.
But at some point, we will need to update.
Somebody to just sort of put it on the radar so that we know that these are things that need to be done. The stage curtains at the high school and tile, I don't have a cost of those at this particular point, but those are ripped, and that is a safety issue at some particular point because those are fireproof curtains. The carpet replacement at Murphy, I think this is 6 classrooms, but I'll be more specific at a later point. The library at Murphy, again, carpet, high school carpet, guidance office carpet. There is some area at Mohegan, which was surprising, it still has asbestos flooring on it. So they would be removing the tile with the asbestos. Not that it's a safety issue now because it's not creating any.
I'm curious, Willie, where is that? I'm curious, where is that at Mohegan?
The Mohegan is down the third, fourth grade hallway, so the last hallway on the right-hand side. It's about 6 classrooms.
That must be very old.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
I thought that the whole building had been remediated.
I thought it had one time also.
Right, so I'm surprised.
Through that.
This one is for some classrooms at Mohegan. I think he had put it in a floor plan here, so I mean, this is classrooms at Mohegan. Mohegan stairwell, you may want to talk about this, Willie, the 12,500 for the area that you saw in the building that was deteriorating.
Yeah, so there's a, and when we do the walkthrough, we'll be able to identify it a little more. There's a wall that's about 3 feet by a foot, 11 feet high that is deteriorating. It could be caused due to the weather, but some of the bricks are falling off and chipping away. So, you know, to be proactive with that as well, we would need to address that, and that's the quote, the most recent quote that we received to repair that area.
Would you consider it a safety issue?
No, not at the moment.
See it.
But with time, I would say we could probably put it off 1 year, but.
So when it comes to safety, I don't want to be concerned. I want to be very proactive on this.
So you slated it for next year.
Yeah.
But I mean, obviously, you know, just because we slated it for
No,
next year.
But it could become like weather integrity.
And it has an overhang. Or the cost has Oh, it definitely will go up. That's, every year I think we do a 5% inflationary factor because that's usually what it at least goes up. And then he indicated that the bathrooms at Tile needed to be renovated and updated. This would take in 6 of those of the most used bathrooms at Tile, estimated about $150,000. You want to speak to that?
So the goal is to renovate so take out the bird bath, hand wash sinks that are in there. A lot of them is, what, 30 years old? So it's just worn out. But what I wanted to do, I believe there's a total of 13 bathrooms, 10 bathrooms, boys and girls. So I'm identifying the worst, the 6 worst, and that's what the 150 will cover. So what we're doing is looking to put a whole new countertop with individual sinks in them, make it ADA compliant with plank underneath just to protect any kids from damaging and wheelchairs from damaging the plank underneath. And that'll be also updating the partitions for the stalls.
And water closets and urinals replaced?
No, those will stay. It's
Really?
yeah. This is all new piping for sinks and the partitions for the stalls.
Thank you.
And then the remaining items are Nick's items under the network. I mean, we're aware that we had the network problem, so he's indicating that we've updated, but we have continuing costs of that. So he's slated the switches at the high school for next year, firewall the year thereafter, along with the tile and the power switches, the Mohegan, Murphy, and Oakdale switches the year thereafter, and then a battery backup system. We did talk briefly, Nick and I, and said maybe there's a better way to do switches to have some more of a consistent cost every budget year versus, you know, the hits and the not hits. But at this particular point, I just want to put the need out there, and then we can, you know, discuss probably a better way of trying to come up with a plan that we can say, okay, we're going to every year put maybe $100,000 into switches or $50,000. I'm not sure how many switches we have in the district, but there's got to be a better plan. The problem is that he indicated that when he does, he has to do building by building. It does not work well if you have different switches in different buildings. So he has to do a building by building, but maybe financing or something that we need to look at because this adds up a lot of money to the budget. And this doesn't take into account Chromebooks and the real operating budget.
I'm assuming that's part of his long-range IT plan, right?
This is,
Okay.
yes, this is part of
Yep,
his
okay.
technology. We have to fulfill it to some budget, so.
Yep, yep.
That's where we're at today. Well, like I said, there's costs that we don't have today, and this is just draft at this particular point. There will probably be some additional updates on pricing as we go through, but just wanted to feel what your comments were and see if there's something that you know that we have not addressed that you'd like us to take a look at.
So, can I see that? That's 1.4 million, is that correct?
Yes. Of which, again, you know, Tim has indicated that they may go out for another bonding on the underground tanks and the Palmer roof, but right now they haven't, so I had to put them in there, and that's what, $700,000.
So I would remind the board, this town has been very generous to us on capital. They've also committed $15.5 million for air conditioning, and the assumption that there'll be a recovery rate of about 70% from the state. They've also committed to replacing our football field and track. So as we move forward into the capital, I want to make sure we all remember that. Thank you very much.
And I think one of the problems is that I didn't put on the HVAC. I'm not even sure how that's going to work out based on that first
Right.
bid. So I mean, there's still some issues that aren't addressed here. I mean,
No, I fully understand.
the whole working.
My point was that the town's
Right.
being
Very generous.
very generous and working very closely with the school board on this, on these issues. So I know we're all mindful of that as we go forward.
Unfortunately, it's a lot of cost.
Any other comments on the capital plan? Nice job, Ken. Thank you. Okay, discussion on dates for building tours for the purpose of reviewing proposed capital projects. Bennett?
Yeah, so typically based on the capital plan and the budget, we set up 2 dates to tour the schools. So it may make sense to pick those dates now. In the past, we have done Tile, Murphy, and Oakdale on one day, and then the high school, Palmer, and Mohegan on another day. And then we'll tack on the bus garage based on the day that has the least items, if you will. So I don't know if there's a day of the week that works better for most people to attend.
Are you talking about January or February?
Yeah, so we've done it in January and, you know, the end of January, beginning of February in the past. But through mid-February, I think would be fun.
What time of day would you like to do it?
Typically, we started at 5, but we could certainly start at 4 and do the secondary schools first, whatever works for everybody. It is very cold when we do this, because I remember that
Yeah.
this year.
How many days do you think you
Cold.
need?
I think 2 days.
2 days.
That's what we've done in the past.
We don't need a quorum for these things, right? These are just
No.
tours,
No.
so we're good. It's just very.
No, it's a courtesy to the board to see exactly visually what's going on.
And it's done relatively, you know, yeah, it's quick. It's an hour and a half maybe, I think, between. Do you want me to just, the week of the 10th might be good if it works for everybody, because the following week is President's Weekend. So do we want to look at doing it on like a Tuesday and Wednesday, the 11th and 12th? Oh,
It's a board meeting.
never mind. Oh, that's a lot of time together, if we do all.
What do you think?
So do we want to do like, let me just check, February, well, do we normally do it before the February meeting? Do you remember?
Well, we try to get it to where we can have the budget discussed at the, I
Yeah.
think it's toward the end of February. So we want to have them take a look at the buildings to see if they concur with the capital plan.
Okay, so, all right, so then we could do the week of the 24th. Does that work? We could do the 24th and the 25th, Monday and Tuesday. Does that work?
Make it happen.
Okay.
Everybody good with that?
I can do the 24th and 25th.
4 o'clock or 5 o'clock?
What works for everybody? Want to do 4 o'clock?
Sure, nobody's, Tim, can you make it 4?
No, because I don't get out till 4.
Okay, then we'll do 4:30.
Can you make it 5?
I can do 5, yeah. I can do 4:30.
4:30.
Okay, perfect. 4:30 on the 24th and 25th. I will have Jen send out,
It's January 24th and 25th, right?
no, February.
February.
Board consideration and action to accept the Leonard J. Tile Middle School roof project, state project number 086-0092 RR as complete. Kathy, Kathy.
I just have to say, this is one of the smoothest projects I think we've had, right, Willie?
Yes.
And very happy with the vendor that we selected, and they were awesome in hitting the punch list, and I have only good things to say about it. So hopefully the roof will hold up, as well as the contractor roof. But this will allow us to do the final payment to the state of Connecticut to start the audit for that.
Okay, the contractor again?
Who was that, Willie?
Greenwood?
Greenwood, I thought it was Greenwood.
Greenwood Industries.
Greenwood, and Al oversaw it, so between the two of them, it was a really smooth project, and I think they had weekly meetings every week, and they were very responsive to any issues that went on, so it was really a nice partnership.
Okay, so do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Second. Any discussion? I'm glad to hear it came in and the way it should have. Willie, you happy with it?
I am.
What we'll have to do now, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but what we'll have to do now is look at that money, because we had moved all of that bonding over to that roof.
Right.
And see if now we can allocate some over to the windows and whatever was left in that project, so
Good.
it's a win-win.
Good. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, any abstentions? Thank you, board. Passes. Thank you. Thank you, Kathy. Thank you, Willie. All right, 7F. Turn it over to Mr. Mitchell.
Well, I'd make a motion to improve 3 courses. The first one would be middle level chemistry course. It's filling a niche between honors chemistry and the environmental science course. It will fill it in just below the honors program. It will fill a need for students that are maybe not going to go to college and major in chemistry or math, but will fill in if they're going to be a vet tech or a veterinarian. That type of idea. That's the first one. The second one is expressive portrait, which is going to be an addition to our art program. Trying to remember all the stuff. I'd like her to fill in a little bit of it.
Sure. I left my papers, but the expressive portrait are for students who, they want more opportunities to be able to do the portrait paintings and some anime and some different mediums than they are offered now. So that would be the expressive portrait. He is trying to open doors to what students are interested in. So he's done interest surveys and he's looked at what students have really been interested in taking at the high school. And this is one of the areas students have expressed a lot of interest in. He feels that it would really benefit the art program.
And the third one is ECE, Music Theory 1 and 2. That's basically, he's going to take the current Music Theory 1 and 2 and increase the rigor so that it can be offered as an ECE course, which is college credit through UConn. Did I miss anything? Andrew?
No, I think you got it.
These come at no additional cost.
That's the big one. No additional cost, no additional need of faculty. The Chem already has 60 of the books for it, so I mean, it's increasing the availability of courses for our students with no additional need for resources. So I'll make the motion to approve the 3 courses so they can get into this year's
Well, we gotta do the motion before you do discussion.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, no.
The art program, can that just not be a change of curriculum for an existing art program?
Can it, I'm sorry, say that again?
You have the curriculum for the art classes.
Yep.
Can that not be this portrait thing? Can that not be a change of the curriculum and added or made a part of the current
Oh, the
art
current curriculum that he already has. I think he feels that the students who would benefit from this class would benefit for a full class and eventually possibly take the place of the class that he has. But I don't think, I mean, Rob, you could speak to that too?
Yeah, so it's one of those, higher level art classes. So we have, general art, we have painting 1, drawing 1. It would be beyond that. We also have a drawing 2, we have a painting 2. This class potentially could kind of engulf those 2 classes and almost replace them along with our digital illustration. So provide students kind of those 3 areas of art to kind of focus on whichever particular one they would like to choose for their expressive portraits.
So you have a visual illustration class already?
We do. We have a digital illustration.
This is not that?
This is not that.
Program is not that?
No, this is not that. This would be kind of, this would only be maybe potentially one portion of that. So the digital illustration might be one method a student can use to kind of create these, these portraits or these works of art. Or they could choose, potentially use a drawing to do that, or painting. So it kind of be a hybrid of all 3 classes.
And give some, you said computer generated and, what do you call it?
Anime, so that would be almost like so it would be kind of more of an interest-based approach. So students would have kind of a variety of topics, or not topics, of things they would like to kind of pursue as they create this art. What is kind of links or whatever is interest-based.
Okay, I made a motion to approve the.
Okay. We have a second on the motion? Second. Any further discussion? I just want to say before we vote, this enhances the ability for a child to do better in our school system, and that's what we're here for. Provides the opportunity for them to excel in another area, and put them out into the world as a very productive person and full of self-esteem. And that's what we're about, education, the best we can give them. Okay, no further discussion? Yes.
Are these classes, I'm sorry, are they evaluated afterwards? Do we know the impact of offering these courses now? I mean, will we know?
Will we know?
Yeah, I think we'd be able to tell based on student interest and
Okay,
the
enrollment
enrollment and things like
grades.
that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Negative impact on something else maybe.
Good question. Yeah, good question.
One of the things that struck me when he was making the presentation was he was speaking about his own experience when he was thinking about going to art school, but not sure if he, to music school, one of the other teachers. And it kind of got me thinking along the lines of the art and the other curriculum changes, that when he took a course that was more rigorous, but included a broader spectrum on what they were being exposed to, it clarified for him that yes, he felt like, yes, I can commit to this, I can do this. It sort of took some of the fog away for him, and I found that like one of those value-added points that I think almost is the most important piece, is that clarification by exposure to a wider field. So that to me was a really important piece.
Excellent point. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Hearing none? Passes. Thank you. Old business. Continued discussion regarding proposed changes to cell phone policies. I'm going to turn this over to the policy chair, Tina.
Yeah, we met this evening regarding policy 5131.81 electronic devices, and we've come up with a new or revised policy. Basically, it excludes the paragraph of the 5 minutes for students to use their phones in the last 5 minutes of class. I think everything else in the policy was stayed the same. If you all recent, Bonnie, was there anything else different on that? I don't think there was anything
The
else.
only thing that was presented was that now this amended policy will be the policy of the district.
Yes.
There won't be any other policy. This will be the policy of
This
the
will be the
district,
policy.
and it will supersede any other policy. And I think that was presented, right, and agreed to.
So it was voted on. We passed the new, I hate to call it new policy because it's not really new, it's just amended.
Revised.
And we did go into further discussion.
We did go into further discussion, and we are going to do our research and do our due diligence on permanent banning of cell phones in the schools.
And that may happen the beginning of the next school year. We don't know yet, we're still discussing. But it very well could happen.
For the next school year.
Beginning 2025, 26.
So just to be clear for the entire board and administrators, we're removing the ability to use the cell phones during educational time.
Yes. Yes.
That's all we're doing.
At this moment.
At this moment. And administrators cannot have their own policies for their school, correct?
Right, this is district-wide.
District-wide, okay. Just want to make sure we're all understanding what we're talking about here.
And the policy is quite clear that they're not to be used in the classrooms
At all.
at all.
My only question is, I think the board we voted in policy to bring it here.
Bring it here.
I think everybody here votes on it.
Right.
At the next meeting.
Oh, at the next meeting?
It should be on the agenda for the next meeting.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's why we have to change the agenda for me and me.
Yeah.
Yes, any
But
further?
it's old business, so would that pertain? Since it's been ongoing. Bob? I mean, why couldn't we vote tonight since we talked about it for about 4 months? We've come out of our final meeting on it.
And you voted on the final revision.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the normal way was when either one of the committees took a vote, it would be brought to the board at the next regular meeting.
I just kind of thought that was new business. This is old business.
Well, again,
I don't know if
it's
there's a
not-
difference.
right, because you did it in committee.
Many
None of
times.
us have seen
True.
the revised
Okay,
policy.
okay, got it. That's fine. Okay.
So that would be on the agenda for us
All
to
right.
see next
Okay,
time.
okay, gotcha.
The reason why E&E had to do this is we were up against the hard
No,
stop
no,
of the.
I agree with that. That was, but I think,
We
I
could
think
always
this is
change,
important
we
too.
could always change the way it's done through our bylaws.
Okay.
If the board wanted to, make it available like that, we could do it.
We could do that, right?
okay.
The other consideration in, how we do things that I think is important, and we don't want to overstep it, is we put out this proposed policy in written form that everybody can look at. It doesn't just include those of us that sit on the board, it includes everybody else in the community who may have an interest in our policies. And then we have our public comment availabilities for the public to say what concerns they might or might not have about our proposed policy. And so I think it is important that we put out that proposed policy in a written form so that people can take a look at it. And then if they want to come to our next meeting and voice opinions or concerns about it, then they would have that opportunity. And if we don't do that, we would overstep the possibility for the community to give that feedback. And we, at least I, as a board member, want to hear from the community if they have concerns.
So we'll put it on the next agenda, is that what you, everybody good with that? Next month's agenda.
So is it possible when we do next month's agenda under that heading, that the policy be on the agenda, literally, what the policy is?
Oh,
so
we'll
everybody can
attach
see
it to.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it'll be available through our website.
It'll be through the
Yeah.
website, people will be able to go look at it prior to the meeting.
I will upload it
Right.
as it is.
Okay. Anything else, Tina? All right. Thank you for the update. We'll address it next month through an agenda item. Thank you, Carol. All right. Committee and liaison reports. Just discuss policy. Anything further, Tina? Okay, thank you.
Nothing new for me in the.
Yeah, we just discussed that too. Thank you. Communications Committee?
No meeting.
Thank you. Montville Education Foundation?
I sat in on the meeting, Charles Place, in addition to the superintendent, and that's the first time I came to the meeting. It was really impressive. They have a lot of energy. At the meeting, they welcomed a new member, which was really nice to see. And they mentioned that they've hired a company to update their website. And what they're really focused on right now, because they're very successful, they have raised a lot of money for grants. And now they want to raise awareness of the grants so that more teachers will apply. And so they were discussing ways to spotlight the projects they've supported so that people can see them and be encouraged to apply.
Thank you. Learn?
It was a regular business meeting. We finally got the final results of our audit for the 23-24 year, and it came out with no findings. Other than that, it was a regular business meeting. And like, you know, the first meeting of January, we had 3 new members from East Line. The one from New London didn't show up, and then from Region 18. So Learn does cover, you know, more than just this one area. We really run from here all the way to Westport. So it was, for me, it's been really fun doing it. And it's really, our focus is special education. So when I hear a lot of this stuff being discussed, I know special education costs are not going down anywhere. Learn is part of the state RESCs. They have a RESC Alliance. Part of their push this year at the legislature is to handle the funding of special education somehow, some way that is equitable for the students, for the sending towns. Learn has not had an increase in a lot of their amounts. The last big one was 2019. So yes, our budgets are coming in tight, and we could do more if we had more funding from the state. When they took over magnet funding and said, you know, they're going to pay 42%, and the districts only had to pay 58%. The other piece of that was they capped what RESC can charge at what it was. So we can't increase our tuitions.
They capped what? Who can charge?
The Learn can charge Montville for a magnet student.
Gotcha.
That was totally capped. And then they're saying you know, so that helped the districts a lot. Doesn't help Learn, because our costs are still going up at normally a faster rate than even the districts see. The Learn is not a taxing authority or has a taxing authority. All of it is from magnet school tuition, state reimbursements, or special education tuition. And we're still one of the lower ones for special education tuition. We don't have any of them that go up to $250,000 that this district does pay to a placement in East Hartford. So, yes.
Thank you.
there's a lot of work coming down, and we're, moving, the RMMS is moving from first, second, and third. It's going to become a 3 through 8 school, because we're in the process of going to be building a new school in Daniels Avenue it's going to have toddler through 2. And, the state is giving us 95% funding on a $93 million project. So there'll be a lot of new things, and took up enough time.
Oh, thank you, Bob. Montville Youth Service Bureau?
No meeting till March, but we did have our holiday social last Saturday at the home of the director. Very nicely attended.
Nice.
How did you make out with that water tank project?
It's an ongoing.
I was just curious.
I honestly don't know. Ask Mayor or Barbara.
Is there water in the tank?
No.
I hope not.
No, but there are enthusiastic people in town that want to do this, especially historical people. Kind of like
It's over 100 years old.
Okay, just curious. Thank you.
All right, you'll notice, you all set, Tim?
We're going to clean it up, repaint it.
How would you get up there to do that? Every time I drive by, I think, how would you
Try to climb the ladder.
up all the way to that top of that tank?
Sure. Oh, it's pretty good.
I don't know. I would.
Good?
I'm good.
Thank you. You notice the student board reps aren't here, they're preparing for their midterms. Okay, principals?
I'll start off just a
All right.
couple of good news items. I'd like to publicly thank the MEF and the Mohegan Tribe. Mohegan recently received a $500 mini grant for the MEF for our kids in our before-school sports program. And we also got a $1,000 grant from the Mohegan Tribe to explore culture, tradition, history, and take a field trip to the museum. So I'd like to publicly thank them.
I'll piggyback off of that. Palmer got a larger grant. We got $2,700 from the MEF, so thank you to them to support our personal interest projects that students in Pathways have that on their course. So that was terrific. We also got the same Mohegan Tribe Challenge grant. Also includes 2 hours of PD. We set up ours for the morning of the January 30th. So that was great news for us. We had Montville High School Athlete of the Week. We had a wrestler. We have 2 wrestlers who are participating in the sport this year, and one of them was named Montville Athlete of the Week for the week coming back from vacation. That was thrilling. We also just took back an out-of-tuition student, so big cost savings to the district. The student started back on January 3rd. He's doing extremely well. His least restrictive environment is certainly being at Palmer right now. He's terrific in that.
Can I ask what would be an example of a personal interest project?
Sure. So the kids, it's a class that the high school started a few years ago, and so we have one student who wants to explore culinary more. So he's designing some culinary type projects that we don't offer as a regular class down at Palmer. We have another student who is interested in kind of some more hands-on stuff that we don't offer. So he's designed some models that he wants to put together that we can't, that aren't in our normal kind of operating budget. So it's the person who wrote the grant is an intern who is being shared between Barbara Lockhart and herself. She spelled everything out in the grant in terms of how that $2,700 is spent. So there was so much for like some culinary stuff, some art stuff, some hands-on exploratory stuff. They actually have a plan. Each student has a plan that they meet with their teacher on and review that plan every class period, and the teacher actually kind of as a coach to help their learning. Sure.
I wanted to mention that I have a teacher, kindergarten teacher, Robin Tambruno, who wrote a MEF grant, and she wrote it for the entire kindergarten and preschool team across the district, and it was granted to use towards the new state initiative of play-based learning. She was thrilled to get that grant. We're excited to be able to share it with the other schools. And then I also wanted to mention that my PE teacher is offering an after-school cultural club where he explores all different sports with our 5th grade students. It's always a big hit each year. And one of our 2nd grade teachers, Jay Nolan, has joined volunteering to help with that weekend.
I was just going to mention for all 3 elementary schools, and I think across the district, but that lost links testing is underway right now. Our L director, Faith, has had a very busy month and a half. The tutor that is shared, I think, does 4.5 days at Murphy, and then her other time at Oakdale was transferred for the Navy to Hawaii, and so we had to replace that person, and we've got somebody in place now. She's great. She started, and today was day 1 testing at Murphy School, but I know that they finished up at Mohegan, and that's really important that we're setting the right tone in the building for that testing to take place, and we're anxious to see how our kiddos do. So.
All right, I'll go real quick. I just want to thank the board for getting those 3 courses on the, to be approved on the board agenda tonight. That'll help with the registration process, getting into the program of studies. We're real excited. For those of you who are in the E&E, you could hear the kind of passion in the teachers' voices when they were presenting these courses, so we're real excited to get those underway. Also wanted to kind of give a shout out to our girls soccer team. They are awarded a sportsmanship award from the Connecticut Girls Soccer Association this year, so a real nice honor for that team. And it really shows the work Tim has done with the entire athletic program on kind of shifting the culture of how we operate here in Montville. So there's just a shining example.
Superintendent Wambach is put on Amanda. Sure. Amanda, would you like to speak to us, as we know you're stepping up and doing a lot right now, and the board really does appreciate what you're doing.
Thank you.
Would you like to share anything with us?
It's a little crazy and hectic. I think we're kind of at a coming down point where the things that initially were a little haywire and left unresolved, I guess, are all really settling. I know my counterpart at the elementary started back today, so that's fantastic. But really, in all honesty, like, my biggest support has been these people sitting around me. They have helped me really navigate everything, from helping with my teacher evaluations, covering a PPT if I'm called somewhere else. So I really couldn't have done it without all of them. They've been great. But I think we're moving in the right direction. I think we still have some work to do and some programs to still flush out. But I think we're getting where we need to be, slowly but surely.
Well, thank you. We're very concerned about being in compliance. It's very important to us, and we're here for you if you need us.
Thank you.
And we appreciate what you're doing.
Nothing but positive news to report at Tile. So we're in a good place. We set our SPAC testing dates. We set our 8th grade trip to Lake Compounds for the 2nd year in a row for June 5th. PTO has organized a 7th grade dance to February 28th. So we're in a good place.
Good, thank you. All right, informational items. So, next scheduled meeting. A couple of things. I know the board is concerned. We are concerned about special education. We're concerned about IEPs. We really need to understand how an IEP is put together, executed, and the results of an IEP that show that it's fruitful use of our time. So we're going to ask for an IEP presentation. We're asking for, we obviously talked about preschool, and we'd like to know more about instructional coaches. Now, that level of discussion, we'd like to see a little more, not exactly like, okay, they're here to, not what we had last time. We'd like to see a little more in-depth of exactly, the actual impact an instructional coach has on staff themselves. Just for the record, I'm happy Liz Dumont is a principal, but I also supported her as a math coach, just for the record. Anybody have any, I'm going to ask right now, does anybody have anything else they'd like to see on the next scheduled meeting? Those 3 items I just covered.
We're not taxing Ms. Brown, are we, at a tough time with road director and,
So
I'm just wondering.
So the superintendent's going to address that in her comments tonight.
Okay, because I don't want to tax Ms.
She looks
Brown
pretty rested over there.
more than she already is.
Looks
Have her
good.
come do that for us. But if you feel you can, that would be appreciated.
Yes,
And I
so-
think that we have with Teresa back, I actually want to say, initially when we were both doing that, I had the pathways, I actually think this is what she was looking at. Correct me if I'm wrong, Diane, but
You were, correct.
she was putting together a presentation on just the whole PBT process for you.
Okay. All right.
All right, when you say next meeting, what discussion of the budget will come under old business, correct? It won't drop off, right, Pam?
Oh, it will stay on.
It'll
It just
stay on.
stays on.
The budget's
under
gonna
old
stay on.
business. Okay, it just stays on, because I see probably all that will drop
Because
off.
it'll actually be presented next month.
But these are actually items that are kind of, we really, as a board, want to address. These instructional coaches, IEP. All right. Report from Assistant Superintendent.
Okay, so this month, we were lucky enough to be chosen, along with 10 other districts across the state, to participate in the Connecticut Right to Read project in partnership with the New Teacher Project, also known as TNTP. This will be starting now. We've already had our first meeting, and it will continue through the fall of 2025. The CSDE and Montville will collaborate in this partnership to support our implementation of high-quality K-3 literacy instructional materials and how to best leverage these materials to meet the unique needs of our students. They will help refine a shared vision of literacy, support principals with management systems, focus on planning with our K-3 teachers, and help to support ongoing cycles of improvement. This partnership will include the principals, literacy coaches, K-3 teachers, and myself and Diane whenever she is available. TNTP has extensive experience working with districts and schools across the country. They were really involved during COVID, and you can look them up online. They come with a lot of knowledge and respect. Through this process, they've helped many other school districts through the process of implementing high-quality instructional materials. They recognize that significant technical and adaptive challenges arise during this process, and they support districts in planning deliberate change management efforts to ensure this successful implementation. So along with all of us, kind of walking hand in hand in that work, we're a small team. I know we're talking a lot about coaches, but besides them, it's just, myself and Diane, and the principals. So it's a small but mighty team, and this team brings it another level to support. The best part is it is funded by the state, so it is completely free. We did put in, we had to fill out an application process and a selective process, and we were lucky, in my opinion, enough to be chosen. I think this is going to be really great hand-in-hand work that we can benefit from. That's it.
Thank you.
I have
Superintendent?
one question.
Yes.
I think prior, before Diane became superintendent, I think she used to report on what our absentee rate is. How many kids are out there that haven't come back to school?
Sure.
Can we discuss that? Do you know what that is?
Off the top of my head tonight? No, I do not, but I absolutely can get that for next time and have that as part of my plan that helps.
Bring it in.
Yeah, for
Yeah, I
sure.
know Diane used to, that was important to her. And
Yeah.
I think we should at least know where we're at.
Agreed. No problem.
One more question. Who is responsible for kindergarten eligibility? Has that already been sent out, and do we have a deadline for that? Is that you, Diane?
Yeah,
Okay,
I
thank
have.
you, sorry.
So far, everybody talks about everything on my list. Like everything. But it's
Check
okay.
them all.
I know, I'm like, even Will's, you even, oh, wait, you told me it's my turn.
I am done.
Superintendent?
Okay, thank you so much. So the first thing I was going to talk about was the Montville Education Foundation. Pretty much everybody shared information. I will tell you that we were awarded $17,621. Greg did not mention his tile middle school fitness center, which he received close to $8,000 for, which is amazing. And also the Tile Buddies, which is going to involve our special education students from our life skills class working with their peers, doing everything from fun activities, raising money, and participating in, fun activities. So thank you, Greg, for not sharing that part because I was able to give some good news. In addition to that, I was going to mention the Mohegan grants, which is great. Our teachers are really spending a lot of time getting creative and looking outside the box for resources. So Palmer and Mohegan were recipients of that. Carol Dotson, who is our food service director, was recognized for her outstanding work when she submitted the Montville Public School Summer Food Service Program. And I share that with you because it's pretty extensive work that she has to do, accounting for all the things that she did in the summer. And the state came back saying they wished everybody's application looked the way hers did. So definitely a sense of pride there. I also want to share that Andrea not only secured this additional professional development opportunity for administrators, teachers, and us, she also wrote a grant that's allowing us to take a second look at the type of restraints that we use and go with the new program that is more appropriate for a vast level of students, and it has a very strong component on de-escalation, which is required by the state, that we do yearly with our crisis team. So we also received that grant, which was around $8,000 to $9,000. So that's all good ways that we're bringing in some money. We're beginning conversations around class sizes and scheduling, which will definitely have an impact on our budget. We are beginning the K waiver. The elementary principals did a phenomenal job. We had met earlier talking about what worked and what didn't work. We waited a while to see if the state was going to do anything, and then the official word is this is how it may be for a while. So we have a process set up and ready to go. We refined it. We were very pleased on last year's process, and we'll be doing very similar to the work we did last year. Everything will be communicated to the public very shortly. We are on par for where we were last year with the timeline. I'm currently interviewing with Amanda for an interim director of special education and for an interim director of finance. Another story, Kathy. But, so we're busy doing that. I would also want to do a huge shout out to Amanda, who has been instrumental in keeping us afloat during this time. As you heard, the other administrator was out for a bit, so Amanda was K-12 special ed, doing everything, and she did an amazing job. We also took the time to build some internal capacity, and we used Stacy Gerard and Jamie Serpinski to fill in. Both of them have their own ID2, and they were also able to provide some support, and it's an awesome way to build capacity within the district, something that's really important to me and others that we get done. And I was going to end with saying that we will provide an overview of our coaches. And also, it's true that Teresa, before she left, wanted to give everybody an idea of what an IEP process looks like from a parent's point of view, from the very beginning up through looking at whether things are working. So I will reach out to her and see if she will be ready to do that next month. It means next month will be, a full agenda, which is fine, but we will include the coaches and the IEPs and preschool.
Thank you. Citizens' comments? Any citizens'
Not
comments?
this one.
Citizens' comments. Okay, thank you. Board member remarks? We'll start with you tonight, Erica.
None.
Nothing?
How is safety going on in schools? Anything, any concerns, any problems?
Oh, safety.
Safety, any safety issues? Any ideas, anything we can do better? We're good. We feel safe. Okay, good.
Carol? Bob?
No, nothing.
Donna?
It's cold outside. I'm sure everyone wants to go home.
Tim?
No, I'm good.
Tina?
Thank you very much, Administrator, for everything. Amanda, thank you, especially thank you to you.
Two things. I pass Rob Alves probably 3 out of 5 days of the week. This morning it was 5 degrees when we passed each other.
Yes, it was.
I thought about that. When I got to New London to go to work, it was 12. Anyhow, that's just a little trivia. Also, I want to share one other thing. I'm reading an article about cognitive health. And if you don't know what cognitive health is, I had to look it up because there's a difference between mental behavior and cognitive behavior. Cognitive health is literally how your brain works, right? How's it functioning, right? You're working on a high test or whatever. This article was done by a neurologist, and I'll make this quick. And I read a lot. I read a lot of books. And he highly recommends you read fiction instead of nonfiction. And his survey and his study showed that fiction causes your mind to function much more aggressively, you have to be much more paying attention than in a nonfiction book, because you can, most of the time you can figure out the content and what's going to be said. And I wanted to share that with you because I thought it was very interesting, because I grew up in a time when you got to read something serious, Wills. Right? You got to read something serious. Well, not that you don't, but anyhow, I wanted to bring that up because I don't know, I thought that was very interesting. And that's all about your cognitive health. So, future agenda items, I think we covered them unless anybody has anything else. Okay. At this time, I'd like a motion to go into executive session to discuss the superintendent's mid-year evaluation.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Hearing none. Thank you very much. Superintendent is invited, obviously.